Hi and welcome to this 8th episode of our MiniStealth tutorial series, where we're creating a small roguelike stealth-like game using SpriteKit and GameplayKit, and today is focusing on adding some polish to the game. So what kind of polish are we adding? Well, we'll center the map, and we'll also make sure that we can center strings right in the middle of the screen. We'll show a welcome message and show the player position. We'll trigger and show events, and we'll add a sound effect just to show how that works. The events are probably the most complex part of this episode, so let's dive into it a bit more. There are many ways of implementing events. I don't think there's a standard functionality in GameplayKit that offers it out of the box. The implementation we'll use is using an enum where each case describes a specific type of event, and we'll just have a sort of global list of events that were triggered. Anything can trigger an event, so that's a design decision, but they can only be processed in the game scene show world function, so that's something that we need to keep in mind. That's basically it. So let's start by centering the map and adding alignment to strings. So let's go into Xcode, and to center the map we'll go into a game scene.swift file, and the first thing we will need to do is determine the offset. So we have our show world function here. And what we're going to do is we'll calculate an offset, and this will be a vector of, and this requires some math. So we want to center the screen, so we need to move to the middle of the screen. So we'll divide the call count by 2. But if we do just this, then the map would start just from the middle of the screen. So we'll also use the size of the map, and divide that by 2, so it's shifted left again half the size of the map, and this should put us right into the center of the screen. And we'll do the same for the y coordinate, but just this time using the row count and the height of the map. And we now have a vector that describes the offset we should apply to each time we're putting something on the console. So let's have a quick look. We here have a console.put background. We position at tile.key, but we'll add the offset, and here as well. And here where we're showing the tiles that overlap with the ones the other entities see. And finally, for showing the entities as well, each time we use an offset to print something to the console. Each time we want to position something on the screen, on the console, we'll add the offset to the coordinate. I'll probably need to do this a couple of times, because it's the first time after renewing my developer certificate that I started or I'm running something in Xcode. So now you can see our map is centered on the screen, and it works exactly the same way. So let's make sure that we can also do this when it comes to strings. So for that we go into our SK console, and we first add a new enum, and we'll do it inside of the sconsole struct. We'll add an enum alignment, and for now we'll just have 2 cases, so case left and case center. And now we go to our put put string method, and we'll add the alignment the player can pass in. So we'll take a parameter alignment and we'll default it to left. And we'll, after we initialize the cursor, we'll say if alignment equals center, then our cursor.x will be the call count, so the width of the console divided by 2 minus the length of the string divided by 2 as well. So this will put the string into the center, and we can test that. For instance, if we go into our game scene, there should be something we're putting on hello world here. It was at the left, but if we add alignment center, now it should be in the center. So it's now here. Cool. So that's our first step done. Second, I want to add a welcome message and the player position on the screen. And the welcome message will be shown only once when you start the game. So we'll get rid of this one and we'll go console.putString, and we'll say welcome to MiniStealth exclamation mark at a vector. We'll take we'll put it 1 from the top. We'll have a foreground color, and that will be white, and a background color that will be blue. And we'll use our alignment here to center this. And we'll do something similar with the second sprite, and this will just be a lot of equal signs, so it's sort of a row below, and we should go down 1 more, and let's see, do we want to do something specific with the colors here? I don't think so. So we'll just have the alignment. Then we'll give some instructions on how to play the game. So we'll say arrow keys to move. And we'll go 1 further down. And this can also be just default text color. And finally we'll do a console put string. And we'll say capture the treasure and don't get caught. Note that the game logic for winning and losing hasn't been implemented yet, but we can add the instruction. So this 2 will have to go down 1 further down from the top, and again we'll use the alignment.center. So this will show the welcome message. Then we want to show where the player is. When the player at the end of the update the world function, we'll put a string, console.putString, and we'll say player position. And we'll use string interpolation to add a world.player.position.x, and the world.player.position.y, and this can just be at the bottom left. So I think this should be enough to meet this goal. So now you can see we have our player position also always in the bottom left, and that could be helpful or useful. And when you start up the game, you see the welcome message at the top. Cool. So that's down 2 to go. Now for for something a little more complicated, we're going to trigger and show events, and in particular we want to implement an event when an enemy sees our player, or when we're spotted basically. So first let's define an event, and we'll do that in a new Swift file in our model. We'll call this event.swift, and this will be an enum event, and it will have a case alert, and we'll add a coordinate to where we want to show the alert. So we'll use associated types if we need to pass any additional data with an event as required. So we might have other events that require other data, but a coordinate for this one will be enough. And then we'll have a static variable, an event list, that is just an array of events. And this is our event. This should be in equals. This is our event structure. In this case, an enum. So let's use the event. So what we'll do is we'll first need to fire the event somewhere, and we're going to do so in the patrolling state. And here, where we're seeing if we can spot the target, here if we're entering the pursuing state, so basically that's when we spot the player. This is a nice place to fire an event, so we'll just add an event to the event list, and this will be of type alert, and as the coordinate we'll use the owner.position. So this is the entity that spotted the player. Next we should show the event, and this is something we are going to do in game scene, and this is in our implementation we'll choose to only process events in our game scene. So what we'll do is we'll go down a bit right before the console put string, and what we'll do is here we're going to process events, and we'll go for each event in event.theEvent list. So we'll iterate for each event. We'll see what kind of event it is, and if it's an alert, we'll get back the coordinate. Then we'll say console.put character, and we'll put an exclamation mark at our coordinate plus the offset. So here again we need the offset, and as the foreground color we'll use white, and the background color should be red. And we can add already a default case that just says console.putString received event, and we'll show it on somewhere on the bottom left. This is basically the default case if we fire an event that we don't have a handler for yet, and we'll get a warning that this case will never happen because there's only one case in event. But that's fine. So now if we move around and an enemy spots our player, we see an exclamation mark drawn over them, and after that it's just the normal player. And we forgot something very cool, because the event is shown each time. After the event has fired, we'll clear the event list. This is something we shouldn't forget. So after that the event is empty, so we get spotted, and after that we just see the entity again. So cool. So this is the basics of our event system, and this is now just one very simple event, but this is this can be extended quite easily. Finally, we're going to add a sound effect, and for this we're going to first need to add an effect to the game. So we'll create a new group called audio, and in there we'll add a file, and the link is in the description below. We should copy if needed. We can create groups, and we should add it to the MiniStealth target. And now we have the sound effect here. Let's go into our game scene, and going down we should have somewhere create a function called play sound, and this will take a file name, and what this will do is this will create an action play sound file named, and this will take the file name, and we don't want to wait for completion, so we'll just want to go through after that, and then we'll just run this action. And what we will do is here where we are triggering the alert, not only are we showing the message, we'll also show you play sound named, and this one is called, it's probably best to copy paste the name from here so you're sure that you type it in exactly the same way. So let's see if this works. Let's run. So we walk around, we get spotted, and the sound is played. So let's try this again very quickly. And that's that for adding sound effects. So that's pretty easy in SpriteKit, because you can just create an action that plays a sound from a file. So that's all for today. Next time we're going to make this into an actual game by adding a win and lose condition. For now, thanks for watching and have a very good day. Bye.